Hey, good morning or good afternoon, whatever time of the day you see this. Well, let me take my eyes off here. Once you guys hit into your 40s, a lot of you will be wearing these. You laugh at me now, right? So I want to make sure that I've got your undivided attention. I want you to stick with me on this. I did one previous video, and I think it's very important that you check out that first video. It is 11 minutes, but it kind of brings us to this next sequential video. Okay, this is it, we got to start from the core, from the beginning, and I was a teacher for 30 years, and I believe a quick review, because we do tend to forget things, some of us more than others, and how much we, what do they say, within 24 hours, how much you remember. I don't know. I'm not a statistic guy or a numbers guy, but we forget a lot, depending on our genetics of how long we keep that. I think it's good to have a relatively short memory. Some people, be careful what you wish for on intelligence, beauty as well. If we remember everything, then we carry that into the present moment, and that can cause problems. But anyway, let's review our first video, just in case you don't want to go back and use those 11 minutes of time in your life. Is the gist of it was that life is all about relationships, and it's the key to wellness, and that's also based on studies. The most important Harvard study. Again, I don't know. I'm not good with names and so forth, but there is the longest health study, and it's done by Harvard, and it's continuing right now, where they have kept an eye on over, I don't know, 500 people or 1,000, from all demographics, and not just people from Harvard. That would, be handpicking some of the elite, but from all socioeconomic levels. And what did they find? So again, I'm not in this isn't based on my own anecdotal, but you're going to see a lot of anecdotal with me, and that's how I roll. This is how I taught for 30 years. I used my own experiences in life, to demonstrate. I worked out with the kids. I would talk about what was going on in my life, and apply it to my teachings, to be that role model and example of things. But anyway, going back to the more scientific part that is proven, is that all the different lifestyle factors of what causes I guess they use it as happiness, was was the theme. What makes people happy, or I would use the word content in my own thought process. Happiness is simply a elevated state of mind that is fleeting in my book. We can't just stay happy, I'm happy. That is only a fleeting moment of large amounts of endorphins, whatever you want to call them, and what goes up must come down. So I like the word contentedness. That seems to be a more low level of joy, bliss, if you will, that I think that really all of us are seeking, and maybe we're not seeking it enough, or maybe we're over seeking that. But when we're in that state of mind, that's where we feel best. And isn't that what we're looking for? You know, but anyway, getting back to that study, uh, it's they found, we're talking exercise, uh, not smoking, all these lifestyles, not drinking, all the different little things that or what is going to make us most content and live a longer quality life. So longevity was in there, but I'm thinking, quality too. Well, it comes down to relationships. Obviously, good, loving relationships. And it doesn't have to be with a specific, like, you know, man or woman. It can be just family. Maybe you never do get married, or you don't have, that type of intimate relationship. Now, I think that that's even bonus where you have all that. But even the cat lady who has 30 cats, um, if she was tight with her cats and feeling the love, I'm sure that she lived a life of joy. People in the religious sector that, maybe a priest that wasn't allowed to get married, but he had the love and the relationship with God. Again, it's all these, the bottom line is love and relationship that really determines, is the number one X factor in bringing joy, more longer levels of contentedness to us. So anyway, that's a long review. But then now we're going back to, let's finish this up with bringing the mind, body, and soul balance in our quest for that contentedness. I'm looking at my future son-in-law. He's headed off to work here. So that's where we're at. Well, and we ended with, well, how do we get there? What do we need? We need something to give us that mojo, that motivation. What drives us? What can give us? Because I believe a lot of us are just in a funk. And again, I get in that funk and have been in that funk for, short periods of times, but, I have my little techniques to get myself back that mojo, little bitch slappings, if you will, to little hacks to get that going. The Japanese call it ikigai, reason for being. Well, do you have that reason for being? What motivates you? What sparks you to get up in the morning and get you going? Besides a lot of us, caffeine. My wife, she's a speech pathologist, and she has that motivation to help kids learn how to speak properly, or their language, and that's her big ikigai. What is my current one that's really checking all the boxes? And let me give you a clue. It's the number one fastest growing sport in the world. And yes, it has grabbed me. And it is such a strong ikigai for me. What is it? It's pickleball. So I am looking forward to going to the courts. And I'm using this example here. Stay with me. Are you staying with me? I know I don't have all sorts of bells and whistles. You got to just listen to me and stick it out for this. Let this bald headed guy, 59-year-old guy, explain what I'm getting at. I'm getting there. It checks all the boxes for the mind, body, and soul. Soul, you say. Soul. How can pickleball, hitting a wiffle ball across the net, have to do with the soul? Stay with me. The mind. Where does it help the mind? Well, first of all, it quiets the mind. The thinking of what's going on. I guess maybe you might call it escapism. I don't know. I'm not dealing with anything else in life, no other responsibilities, but also the mind is working with all the strategies of pickleball and the quickness of the mind to get the ball and the firefights and all that stuff. You'll have to play it to understand it. What I'm talking about, how it really feeds the mind. And it does also the competition, and that's, I'm kind of a type A, type B wannabe. Love that competition, but you don't have to be competitive to enjoy it. But it, it, let's face facts. It feeds the ego, and people say, you look at theories and whatever, lose the ego. I disagree with that. Your ego is simply, and everyone's got their own, perception of what ego is. Of course, it's Sigmund Freud's term for really yourself, your sense of self. And obviously, you don't want to have an over sense of self, where you think you're better than people, or above people, get into that narcissistic ego situation, although we all have some narcissism in us. But we need to have an ego to protect ourselves. We just can't get too big above it, and just ego awareness. So I know when I'm going over and my ego is taking too much. Sometimes I don't, and sometimes I need to be reminded by feedback, and we'll get into that another day. But so it does feed the ego, soothes the ego, and humility humiliates the ego, which is good when you lose and you get your butt handed to you, and that happens. So anyway, the mind, it does the mind good, and of course the body. I mean, I've got I'm all leaned out right now. I've got a pickleball body, I guess. I play fasted, and that's gonna, so I don't eat until later, and it is just, leaned me out. Um, so the body, it has helped my body so much. My joints, believe it or not, are much better. But then now let's get back to this soul. So the mind, the body, it's checking those boxes. What do I mean, excuse me, by the soul? Well, the soul, how is it feeding the soul? It's that human connection that you have playing pickleball. Uh, Again, you can't explain it unless you're with people and you're meeting new people when you play on the public courts every day, and you play doubles, and you go up against other players, and it may be new for the first time, and you have this connection. It's your just the two of you against the two of them, and there's a bonding. Those oxytocin uh, endorphins are coming through. We're just even touching the paddles with each other after a good play. You feel that human connection. And then afterwards, you're on the bleachers on the side and you're meeting people and you're talking just neutral stuff. You don't talk politics. There's no hate. It's all love. And I don't mean just, it's just an energy. It's that chi, the chi between people, the energy. And you got to experience it to understand, but just know that I feel it, and it's just checking all the boxes. And so it's become an addiction, if you will. It's just, and so I want you to, to, if you don't have your ikigai, your reason for being, that should be the number one thing. And it doesn't, pickleball is just what I roll with and what a lot of people are rolling with. And a lot of young people are doing it too, not just us older people. Whether it be painting, oh, I'm hearing some rustling in the brush over here. I think we got a deer coming through. Oh yeah, it's definitely a deer. Anyway, so relationships, the relationship between the mind, body, and soul must be balanced. All right, I got to put my glass on because I want to see where I'm at on this. Oh my goodness, 16 minutes, 17 minutes. You have got to be kidding me. I hope you stayed with me. I want you right now. Well, first, if I deserve to like, only if you vibe with me on this. If you vibe where I'm coming from. I'm rambling again. Muller musings. If you vibe with me, give me a like. If you stayed with it, I appreciate it because I'm going way too long. Again, I want you to comment. What is your ikigai? What is your reason for being? What is it that is motivating you? And if you don't have an ikigai, talk to me, comment. Again, it can be anything. Give me your ikigai. All right, you guys, stay tuned for my next one, and we're gonna continue to sequential on this. So, relationships, balance of the mind, body, and soul. Find that ikigai is the main kind of lesson today. All right, I want you to think about that and comment in this section. Peace, love, contentedness.